Hello, everybody. Welcome to Central Park. Thank you so much for joining us today, August 11th, 2021, for a weekly walk of East Meadow with me, Ryan. Thank you again for joining us and welcome to Central Park. In these uncertain times, we know getting to Central Park is still pretty difficult for a lot of people, so we're continuing to bring the park to you through virtual programs that last about 45 minutes long, held on select days, as well as our shorter, informal 15-minute weekly walks. Thank you for joining us for a continuing weekly walk series here today, where we're going to again explore East Meadow, one of the 3 meadows found in Central Park, which is located around the east side of the park, as you might have guessed, around the 90s streets along Central Park on 5th Avenue. As we explore the park today, we'll learn a little bit about the beauty and history of this landscape and just have a fun walk through the park as always. We're going to be together for about 15 minutes, and all the photos you're going to see were taken by myself here in Central Park just the other week. We will see a few other photos that were sourced from various different sources, like the Museum of the City of New York, New York Historical Society, and various other public databases, as well as a few news station photos that I used for this walk in particular. On the walk today, we will enjoy again the beauty of this landscape and learn a little bit more about one of 3 meadows that exist here in Central Park. I am going to turn on the transcripts, so we do have the transcripts going in case anybody would like those. Again, you do have the option to turn those off using your toolbar. As we continue though, we'll do just a little bit of housekeeping. We again are members of the Central Park Conservancy, and we're the organization that helped to keep the park looking clean and green, preserving and celebrating Central Park as a sanctuary from the pace and pressures of city life, enhancing the enjoyment and well-being of all. As you may be familiar with Zoom, we're using this platform and you can say hello using the chat feature. Also keep an eye on the chat box because my colleagues will be dropping some links for upcoming virtual tours as well as in-person programming. If you do have a question, please use the Q&A feature, and my colleague Juan's going to be on the back end answering any questions you might have. Last thing you'll see pop up are some visitor polls that'll launch throughout the walk, and once you've voted in those, I can share the results and we can see what everybody's thinking. Again, we are using the transcript. If you would like to turn those off, you can go to the toolbar option and you should see either a CC image or a transcript option allowing you to turn them off. If you are using a tablet or a cell phone, you will have to go into your Zoom settings and disable those. But without any further ado, let's start our exploration of East Meadow. Again, East Meadow really kind of focused in the upper 90s, as we can see on the map here, located right next to North Meadow. We'll talk a little bit about East Meadow and its difference from North Meadow as we explore the park today. This is again one of 3 meadows created here in Central Park that you can explore. And it's one of the smallest meadow that we'll see here today. Interestingly enough, East Meadow wasn't always supposed to be just an open meadow for people to explore around. This was actually originally planned to be an arboretum for the park, basically a big old tree garden. As we can see, that never really came to be, but we still find a lot of really beautiful, magnificent trees here in Central Park, specifically in this East Meadow area. So as we explore this area, we can think a little bit about its history. And with that, I do want to launch an initial poll, which is really a simple one. Did you know that East Meadow was originally supposed to be an arboretum or a tree garden? I know a lot of things always surprise me in Central Park, and I learn a lot of information every day, even being here 5 days a week. As we start our walk, we're going to begin at East 102nd Street along 5th Avenue as we enter the park at this gate known as Girls Gate. Now, as you explore around Central Park, you may notice that a few of the entrances have inscribed gates. There's about 18 gates that are inscribed throughout the park that hold various names on them. Many of them represent different types of artists or different types of professions and occupational groups. But we can see about 4 gates showing or honoring different citizen type of groups. One of them will be Strangers Gate, which are representing immigrants. We're going to see one of them being Women's Gate, one of them being Men's Gate, and then we're also going to see, Strangers Gate being immigrants, Women's Gate, Boys Gate, and as we can see here, Girls Gate, again representing different members of the New York City and of the world that might be using Central Park. As we enter here at Girls Gate, we can come right along East Meadow, but first we'll take a nice little walk under some of the beautiful trees that surround this area. Again, it isn't an arboretum today, but we can still see a lot of beautiful, large, magnificent trees growing here. As we walk into the park and bear left, we'll go out of the tree cover for just a moment and make our way up these nice stone carved steps. And along the walk up, we can enjoy some of the sporadic blooms of summertime, various plants popping up at different times. These, I'm actually not sure if these are a type of aster or if they're a type of fleabane, but regardless of what they are, they're still beautiful flowers to see as we're walking along this path towards East Meadow. As we start making our way up the path a little bit, we get some more lush green inviting us farther down. And as we come up, we can see a pretty beautiful tree that I like to talk about. If you've joined us on tree walks around East Meadow before, you've probably heard us talk about this tree. It's one I've talked about before and we'll certainly talk about again. It's called a Kentucky coffee tree. As we come closer, it looks like there's cocoons or maybe types of insects hanging from the trees. But as we come a little closer and inspect it further, we can see that those are actually not cocoons, but seed pods of the Kentucky coffee tree. Those will eventually start to brown out and harden, and eventually we'll see various different shaped seed pods like this falling to the ground. Once you crack these seed pods open, you can find a small little type of bean in there. These were actually used by various different types of older tribes like Native Americans to crush down, bake, and then turn into a coffee type alternative. Doesn't necessarily taste like coffee from what I've heard, but it is a potential alternative. Although you do have to make sure to cook it because these seeds are actually toxic if eaten raw. But still a really cool tree that we can find growing with one of the most magnificent specimens being up here right along the north side of East Meadow. As we start making our way past one of those beautiful trees, we will see another one or two cool trees I like in this area a little bit later down the path. But as we make our way further down, we can wrap around seeing some people enjoying the shady benches and coming a little bit closer towards the East Meadow area. As we make our way down, we can start to see the small but still expansive view of East Meadow. And making our way a little bit closer, we can see that lush green grass, something that's inviting us on. And if we take our few steps to our right, we can actually enter onto East Meadow. As we are coming onto East Meadow, I will share the result of that poll that we had before. And no surprise here, most people had no idea that East Meadow was originally meant to be an arboretum. Even if this is an area you've come to really every day, it's hard to really know a lot of this hidden history, but there's so much hidden history amongst all of New York, and especially here in Central Park. And even if you're an avid park explorer that has been coming to the park every single day for the past 50 years, you can still always learn about something new here. And that's certainly true for East Meadow as we explore this area today. So as we come onto the grass, we can enjoy the beautiful lush green grass that's made up of various types of grasses, a couple different fennel types, as well as some Kentucky bluegrass, adding a nice cushion and a nice padding as we come out here to maybe play frisbee or maybe play catch. Walking along East Meadow, we can certainly enjoy what we have here today, because that certainly was not always the case. East Meadow actually looked like this about 15 years ago. As I was saying, this was restored in 2010, and it did get closed for about a year to allow that sod to really fully come back in. During that time, we also added a few things which you can see along the south edge of the meadow, but we'll take a look at actually in person closer up. As we walk along the meadow, we can see two clay ovals. These clay ovals were purposely put in during restoration, and they allow for concentrated play to prevent big areas coming compressed and looking like dust bowls in that last photo, or the second to last photo. We have these to allow for kids and school groups to really have a lot of hard stomping fun here on the meadow. This is also a wonderful area to play bocce ball if anybody has their own sets and wants to come to the park. Probably my most recommended area to play. As we walk along the meadow, we can make our way towards the east side of it, going along this, again, small but expansive meadow and getting different views that are exciting at each area. I always love seeing people picnicking on here under the shady cover of a nice tree. Luckily, as we're walking around today, it's a nice overcast day, unlike the weather currently in New York, which is very, very hot and humid and well over 90 degrees. But as we come under the shady covering of these trees lining the east side of East Meadow, we can come nearby one of the actually playgrounds that exist over here. There we go. So as we continue walking along, sorry about that. Looks like we're having a little bit of internet issues as we go. But as we come down, we pass by Robert Bentheim Playground, one of 21 playgrounds that you can find in Central Park today. All these playgrounds, again, being along the border of the park for the most part, allowing for easy access and varying levels of play. Like many areas of Central Park, like we saw with East Meadow before, these areas were not always cared for so well. As I was mentioning, there are about 21 playgrounds in the park today, typically located around the perimeter, that allow for various types of play. Bentheim Playground is unlike any other, or I should say, like most others, where it has a bunch of different accessible types of play equipment. We can actually see here a photo of what it used to look like, which was not too exciting. And now we can see a photo of a recent restoration of this area. Just about all the playgrounds in Central Park are undergoing a major restoration to get more updated equipment, be a little bit safer, as well as, again, have a more accessible, wider range of use for varying types of accessibility levels. We can see just a very small snippet of this Bentheim Playground pictured here. As we do continue past Robert Bentheim Playground, wrapping around the east side of East Meadow, we can enjoy the nice tree-covered pathway that leads us down, giving us views along the area. And as we come down to the southeast corner, we can take a couple glances over at East Meadow. Again, originally meant to be a tree arboretum, we do see it today being used as one of 3 recreational meadows here in the park. This one being for non-team activity or non-team sports. So we do see a perfect area for football, as we can see 2 people playing here. Can you spot the football in the middle of the air in this photo? They're going to be right above this Frisbee player over here. But today we see often Frisbee, football, maybe people passing a soccer ball around, an activity like that occurring on East Meadow, as well as an activity area for dogs to run around. If you do come and use these areas, just of course, be sure to follow the rules like these dogs are doing. You do need to have your dog on a leash when you're coming here on East Meadow. As we can see, these 2 following the rules and enjoying the park. As we continue walking along that south edge of East Meadow, I want to take a moment to look at something that really gives East Meadow its kind of character. And to do that, we'll pop onto East Meadow on the grass once more. And once we come out here on the west side of East Meadow, we can see some of the most magnificent trees that really, in my opinion, give East Meadow part of its character. These are beautiful beech trees. You'll find various types of beech trees. That's B-E-E-C-H trees, European, American, cutleaf, and various other cultivars can be found here in Central Park. This beech tree in particular is probably one of my favorite in the entire areas of the park, because when you go under it, you can see really the curvature that most beech trees have, dropping those branches down towards the ground, much like we see weeping willows do that grow there is kind of directly down towards the water. This beech tree creates a nice umbrella type of cover that really cuts out all of the light that we were experiencing on East Meadow. And what's so amazing about coming under here is that this tree and its branches create like a little natural shelter almost. It's almost like a natural cabin out here, growing really all on its own. And what's so cool about this is, again, we get the blocking out of all the light and really the color from outside on East Meadow. And we get small little pockets of areas where we can see out. I can actually just notice a little pocket down here on the right that shows somebody laying on the grass. And as we look through some of these little windows, we can see remnants of East Meadow that we were walking along, but feeling completely covered and completely surrounded or embraced by these beautiful beech trees and their nice flowing branches. This is certainly one of my favorite beech trees in all of the park, and I think one of the best ones to find here along East Meadow, which is right on the southwest corner of the meadow. As we do continue out, we are going to make our way to our final stops for this walk. Again, I apologize about that delay that we had with the internet, but we will be wrapping up in just a little bit. What I do want to take a quick moment to look at is a site that we no longer see here on East Meadow. We're lucky to have things a little bit better, I guess I could say, under control now than we did about a year ago. And this is actually an image from about a year ago where we see a pop-up hospital occurring here in East Meadow. This 68-bed field hospital would be kind of a subsection of Mount Sinai Hospital located just across the street, helping to, of course, combat COVID-19 cases. This pop-up hospital lasted from about April until mid-May. This photo being actually taken by ABC 7 News. Luckily, we don't have this here anymore. We did see the damage kind of lasting for a little bit, but thanks to our wonderful operations and turf care teams helping to restore and fix this sod, we have really no remnants of this field hospital existing today on East Meadow. But something, again, we can remember and think about. Of course, it's been a challenging year, and we're lucky to have things slightly or slowly returning to normalcy. As we do make our way out of East Meadow, we're going to actually head a little farther away to end our walk because I wanted to end with a special treat. And I guess this treat is going to be hopefully worth it considering of the internet trouble you had to deal with earlier. So as we continue walking along, we're going to head northwest right now to our final stop. As we cross the street, we are going to pass by North Meadow. But we're not going to talk about North Meadow because we came here a few weeks ago and we talked all about North Meadow. Today is primarily about East Meadow, even though we're taking kind of a little side trip out of here to check out one special thing. As we do walk north along North Meadow, we are going to come up to a surprisingly beautiful little section on the north edge. That northeast edge of North Meadow has a surprisingly random patch of flowers right here. And as we come a little bit closer, we can see the overwhelming, just jam-packed area filled with various types of colors and flowers. And as we come a little bit closer, we can see really just a bunch of different colors, a bunch of different species of flowers here, and of course, a lot of different types of pollinators and things like that stopping by to enjoy the beautiful flowers. Looking around, we can see various types of butterflies. Probably the largest group or family of insects you'll find here are going to be various types of butterflies, like this silver spotted skipper. And as we walk around looking at the flowers, we'll see butterflies come and go in the flash of an eye. This silver spotted skipper certainly has a lot of pollinating to do, so we don't want to hold him up. And as we look around, we can see plenty of butterflies flying around, leading to these being known as butterfly gardens. As we move around, we can see plenty of other pollinators, though, enjoying this area, those being honeybees, as well as other important types of bees like bumblebees, very important in their pollinating way, shaking up a plant and knocking off that pollen. Very, very helpful for a lot of plants that have really deep kind of tube shapes. But these two actually see another bumblebee just kind of hiding over here, doing a wonderful job enjoying these flowers. We also see other kind of not really too mobile insects like this large milkweed bug hanging out. Plenty of large milkweed bugs can be found throughout the park. And of course, plenty of butterflies like this Zabalon skipper. Another type of skipper species like the silver spotted we saw earlier. As we step back a little bit, we can see other plants that don't really have obvious blooming flowers, but ones that are really important. This is milkweed, as you may have guessed from the milkweed bug hanging out on it. Milkweed gets its name from these large kind of flower-like pieces that have a really milky, thick, white type of paste inside. The sappy paste that's inside really just looks and even kind of feels like Elmer's glue. And it does end up trapping a lot of bugs that kind of bite into it and get engulfed in that glue. But it is a really native and important plant because this is the sole food for monarch butterfly larvae. This is actually the only thing that they eat and what they heavily rely on. So when you have milkweed around, you will certainly see monarch butterflies flying around, like we can see as we walk around these garden areas. And because of that, we do see these being known as the North Meadow Butterfly Gardens. These butterfly gardens were really created to help support migrating butterflies and insects, monarchs probably being the most famous migrating butterfly that takes a trip down to South America and back up to North America, typically done over about 2 or 3 generations, but a really amazing journey for a butterfly to take, considering most butterflies live about 2 weeks, but monarchs live a little bit longer than that, actually a good bit longer than that. As we do come around, I do want to take us to one more little section of the butterfly gardens, the largest of the about 3 or 4 sections you can find in this northeastern section of North Meadow. As we do come to our final little stop or two, I do want to share just one other poll. And the poll I want to share is similar to the first one, about if you knew that East Meadow was an arboretum. Did you know that these butterfly gardens were here, or did you ever visit one? I'm sure some people have visited these gardens before. They're kind of a little hidden secret, but a lot of people probably don't know about them. So let everybody vote in that, and then we'll continue taking a few more nice views of the beautiful blooms and colors we see all over. Various different shades appearing at every section we look. And what I love about this larger area is that we get different shelves of plants growing. So as we stand in different viewpoints, we get the surrounding meadows behind us blocked out or in front of us, depending which way we're standing. But various different shelves of color and plants exist here. And of course, plenty of beautiful pollinators like butterflies. I believe this is another Zabulon skipper, just from a different angle we can see, like the one we saw before, enjoying this butterfly garden area. So with our final view, I wanted to wrap up with something that kind of encompasses a little bit of everything we've seen. A little bit of the beautiful trees that make up East Meadow that once was meant to be an arboretum. We can see a little stretch of a meadow back here. Even though this is North Meadow, we can use our imagination and pretend that it's East Meadow. On top of that, we can end here at one of the most wonderful views of the largest butterfly garden to exist in Central Park. These being really ideal to see during the whole month of August, but really midsummer on is when you're going to see these areas blooming. So if you do have the opportunity to make it up to the park, it's going to be really hot the next couple days, but these areas are certainly going to be jam-packed with color and life. We do encourage you to stop by the park and enjoy the beauty of it whenever you can. This does bring us to the end of our walk, and you can see here the map, the nice long route that we took today to wander around, beginning around East 102nd Street, making our way all around East Meadow and ending up at those butterfly gardens. Again, thank you so much for joining us, and my apologies about that internet trouble that we had a little bit earlier. We do really love doing these walks, and we love to have your support. And as you know, the park needs us, and we need the park. What is it about Central Park that you need the most? Let us know with the hashtag The Park Needs Us, and we'll feature it on our social channels. Or you can share a favorite memory of Central Park on social media and tag us at Central Park NYC. Again, plenty of ways to stay involved in the park, participating on live tours as well as virtual tours, which will be continuing. We do have programs like a virtual Northern Forts occurring next Wednesday, November 7th, or next Tuesday rather, November 17th at 3 p.m., as well as next Thursday, a week from tomorrow rather, August 19th, we'll be doing a Northwoods virtual walk, the first of its kind at 3 p.m. And of course, plenty of more tours like in-person tours, which have commenced. So whether you can join us in person for a tour like the Northwoods, or if you'd like to take one virtual, we have plenty of options for you. And you can check the chat box now to find some of those links. But thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. I will keep the chat open for a little bit longer to answer any last-minute questions you might have. But thank you so much again for your patience with the problems we experienced, and especially for joining us and supporting us here at Central Park. From all of us here at Central Park, stay safe, be well,